Hey guys, Jonathan here from SEOButler.com. I am going to show you today how to use the margins calculator. The idea behind it is it's a very simple, straightforward Excel spreadsheet that you can use to calculate out exactly how much margin your agency is making. The idea is that you can figure out how much you're making as an actual net margin, right? So not just how much profit you're making on the campaign itself, but how much you're making after you take off all your monthly running expenses. So this actually works really well for both agencies that have employees and an office, etc. But it also works really well for freelancers. And the only difference is that when you're filling in your details, that you change it from the office to, let's say, your rent, because that's where you work and those are your expenses. If you go to a co-working space, and I'm sure you're going to have some kind of membership fees, etc. So let me just see if I can make this happen here. The first slide that you want to visit is the team slide. And this is very straightforward. Basically, what we need to figure out is how much each of the different characters in the team get paid. Now, you can actually change these totally happily to whatever you want. So it doesn't have to say CEO or founder, whatever you want, it can say. So let's say that our CEO gets, I don't know, $7,500 per month. Project manager makes $5,000 per month. SEO tech, 3,500. Sales, their commission base, so we'll put them on 1,800. I don't know. Probably a bit too low, isn't it? Put them on 2,500. Support, 2,000. And the virtual assistant, let's say that they're somewhere in Asia, pay them 700. Okay, so the first thing is that what we've done is we've actually broken it down automatically for you to the hourly cost to the business for this person. Now, in addition to that, the way that I've done this is I've actually divided the salary by 173 hours, which is the average working time based on a 40-hour work week and a 52-week year. Now, what's really important to keep in mind here is that I haven't included sick days, benefits, or holiday allowance. Once you get your copy of the sheet, you could easily tinker around with it to change that. Now, moving on, expenses, and this is where it gets really interesting. Let me just move this camera here across. So the thing that's important to note here is that you can change, again, all of these fields to whatever you want them to say. What we're trying to find is the cost per month for you. So office rent, okay, you're paying $3,000 per month in office rent. Business premises taxes. So here in the UK, what we have is we literally pay tax for renting a business property. Our office pays, I'm trying to remember, about 300 or 400 a month for that. So let's just make it 350. Utilities, I don't know, 300 a month. Maintenance, it's going to be $1,000, isn't it? Admin staff, so these are your secretaries. These are your anybody that essentially doesn't get billed out to a client. Yeah, so your support team, so on and so forth. So let's say we're spending another £5,000 per month on that. Vehicles, I don't know if you lease a vehicle or not. Let's say we spend $600 on that per month. Marketing, if you outsource some of your marketing, that's important. Let's say we spend $2,500 on that, and then the insurance. So say 300. Now, this is basically the amalgamation of all of those costs, very straightforward. Now, for the industry subscriptions, so basically these are the subscriptions that you need to do your day-to-day jobs that get billed on a monthly basis that you cannot bill out to your client. So basically what we want to do here is we can just change these to whatever we want them to be, and then we can add the costs. So depending on what account you're on with Ahrefs, it just depends. SEMrush, let's say we're $99, Prospect.io, let's say it's $50, Agency Analytics, let's say we spend $250, Help Scout, let's say we spend $125. servers, 400 a month, meeting webinar software, $100, and rank tracking, let's say we spend 135. So again, the first thing that this does is it just adds it up very simply. Now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to break down the cost of every campaign. So let's try and get the average cost per link, cost per article. Now, the easiest way to do that, of course, is to figure out how much your writers charge you, and then the average length per article. So, 500 words times X. So let's just say that our average cost per link is, $50. It's pretty cheap, but anyway. Cost per article, let's say that our articles cost us $25 per article. Now, the payment processor fees, this is if you're using Stripe or PayPal or any of those wonderful payment processors, they're going to charge you a fee. So what we want to put in here is the fee that they currently charge us. So let's say they charge 3.5%. This is important because this comes straight away out of the money that they send you, right? And then what we want to do as well is if we have a commission structure in place for percentages or for dollars, as in cash, then what we want to do is we want to put in here how much we are actually giving them, right? So let's say that my sales guy gets, let's say, 5.5% commission on a monthly rolling basis. Or, if not, you can also choose to just get $100. And you can obviously play around with this and completely change it to suit yourself. But what we're trying to do is get a good idea here of how much we actually, stand to benefit at the end of the month. So what we do then is we head over to clients, and this is where it gets really interesting. And I'm just going to go ahead and make myself a little smaller here. But basically what we're trying to do here is we're trying to actually fill this out to the best of our abilities with the clients that we have right now. So let's get right into it. So client one, I want this to be, an SEO client. Now, for this client, I am paying a commission. So it's a percentage commission. And the monthly budget for this client is $1,500. So straight away, this tells me how much of a commission I'm paying out at the 3.5%, the 5.5% that I entered on the other sheet. Yeah, very, very simple equation here. Now, what's important is, on average, I try to calculate out how many hours of each of these characters are going to be involved here, and these are going to be pulled from the other sheet that we filled out earlier. So let's say that this is a small client, takes about 1 hour from the CEO, 3 hours from the project manager. We're going to take, 10 hours from the tech, 1 hour from sales, 1 hour from support, and 8 hours from the virtual assistant. We also need to enter how many links we want. So on average, we're going to build 5 links per month for this guy, and we're going to build 5 articles per month for this guy. Okay. So what we want to do is just add a couple of these, and I'm going to go through this very quickly even, and I'm just going to show you what we can do. So we can also say no commission, or we can say a cash commission. So straight away, this will pull the commission from the other field. Now, for this guy, we're making $5,000 a month, fantastic. And in this one, we're going to make $8,000 per month, excellent. I'm just going to add some random numbers here. 3 and 5 and 5 and 10 and 8. 9 and 2 and 2. Okie dokie. So first things first, what's really important here is that you can actually see how much of a commission you're paying out on a monthly basis, if you are paying those out monthly, of course. You can also see the cost of your labor for all of your campaigns at the same time. you can also just see how much all of those hours cost you, right? And what you can see as well is how much the payment fees are, so how much money you're losing via PayPal potentially, or Stripe or whatever. And there's an extra field that I entered in here, which is other, and this is where you can add sort of random expenses that these clients have on a monthly basis that wouldn't fit others, right? So you can also say that this guy costs you an extra $300. That's okay. Yeah, so this guy costs you an extra $300 per month, right? So here, what we actually see is how much this guy costs on a monthly basis in expenses, and that's all added up, and it will then show you the gross profit. So on this particular campaign, we're making $599 gross profit per month, versus this one, which we make $3,000, and then this one we make just over five. Now, what's interesting is we've now started to add the running costs to this, and the running costs are a very interesting equation. What we do is we take the total amount of costs that we have to run the business, which are the ones on the other sheet where we add up the rent and the business rates and all of that. And what we do is we take all of those, we divide them by the total hours that we've billed out that month, right? And then we split it down by the amount of hours in a particular project. So you can see that here very easily. Well, it's not so easy to show, but anyway. And that then shows you the net profit on an individual campaign based on these costs. So as you can imagine, if right now we're making a loss of 5.3K. So if I upped this guy from 1,500 to 15,000, then all of a sudden this campaign here would be running a profit. We'd be running a profit overall, and the campaigns here would still be showing a loss on their man hours. And that's really important that you're still able to see that, right? Because you need to know where you're making a loss. Now, I've done all of this, and just imagine you filled this out for all your clients. Beautiful, you get all this insight, and then you can go over to the results page, and beautiful. Here's where we get to see how many commissions we're paying out, the total cost of the labor, yeah, the total payment fees that we're spending every month, the running costs that we're spending, the total monthly incoming, the total monthly outgoing, and our profit margin. And this is important. This is the number you want to keep an eye on, right? At the same time, I've made a beautiful little graph here. You can create all kinds of great graphs using Google Sheets. And I've broken down the monthly expense breakdown so you can very quickly see as well what is costing you the most money. You could very easily break this down to actually show you the individual running costs as well, so you can see what's eating up the most money very easily. Remember, if your profit margin, just like this one, is under 40%, please reach out to us. We would love to work with you to increase that profit margin, ideally up to 40%. So reach out. Just below this video, you'll see how you can get a copy of this sheet. We would love to work with you, and good luck.